Reverend Dr. Philip DeLong is an ordained minister, spiritual counselor, healer, and teacher with the International Association of Metaphysics. He received his Doctor of Ministry through the Lively Stones World Healing Fellowship. He is a member, certified medium, healer, and teacher at the Cassadaga Spiritualist Camp in Cassadaga, and is also a member of the Temple Heights Spiritual Camp in Northport, Maine. Please help me in welcoming Reverend Phil DeLong to the platform.
Really? Hold on. Okay, that might be better. Welcome. I'm glad to see you here today. One of my favorite stories of this time of the year is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Ebenezer Scrooge with, let me get this right, bah! Humbug. Attitude is a man of greed, selfishness, a lack of consideration for his fellow man. As the story unfolds, we see Scrooge as a miserly, cold-hearted creditor who continues his stingy, greedy ways on Christmas Eve. He rejects a dinner invitation from his nephew Fred. He yells at the charity workers, and he overworks his employee Bob Cratchit. That night, he will be visited by 4 spirits, his former partner and the 3 spirit guides of present, past, and the future yet to come. The first spirit is Scrooge's deceased partner, Marley, Jacob Marley, who appears to him in chains. Marley tells Scrooge that he made the chain around his neck by being selfish and greedy throughout his life. I made them link by link, yard by yard, he said. Dickens uses the chains as a warning to Scrooge and to the reader that one cannot escape the consequences of such behavior. We forge our own karma. And as principle number 7 states, we affirm the moral responsibilities of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. It is no coincidence that personal responsibilities is one of the laws governing spiritualism. We have been given enormous potential to improve our lives and the lives of others. We use free will to make decisions throughout our lives as we see fit. What each of us makes in our own life is our own moral and personal responsibility, and no one can replace or override that right. At the same time, no other person can influence our errors. We must do that ourselves. When Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, Scrooge symbolized Victorian aristocracy who viewed the poor as a scourge upon the earth. The story was about the plight of the poor and the dangers of social neglect. By creating the Cratchit family, he reminded his readers to be inclusive as a society and to care for those who need help. It is apparent that poverty still exists in the 21st century. And like Scrooge, we can choose to help those in need or not. Bah humbug. Right? So Marley hopes to save Scrooge from sharing his same fate. Marley informs Scrooge that 3 spirits will visit him during each of the next 3 nights. The second spirit, the ghost of the Christmas past, comes to him as a representative of the truth and reveals that Scrooge's past Christmases were filled with loneliness. This spirit shows Scrooge scenes from the past that trace his development from a young boy, lonely but with the potential for happiness, to a man with the first traces of greed that would deny love in his life. His lust for money eclipses his ability to love another. Scrooge, in this scene with the ghost of the Christmas past, shows newfound emotion when revisiting these scenes, often crying from identification with the former neglected self. In a spiritual sense, the law of remorse, as taught by this spirit guide, shows Scrooge how to recognize his shortcomings and to use hindsight to examine his actions and learn. Learn from the truth and let go of what could have, should have, or would have. So when we see in this scene that forgiveness is the key of our past actions, and forgiving ourselves is the path to self-healing. The third, I want to say nobody at this time of year should have any unforgiveness in their heart. If we hold that unforgiveness in their heart, that is going to attract what I would call dis-ease, which would be dis-ease, into our physical, emotional, and mental auras. So no unforgiveness in your heart is what this this spirit teaches. The next spirit who arrives is the ghost of Christmas present and represents all the joy and generosity of Christmas, evident by the mounds of food and the torch which bestows blessings upon the poor. He shows Scrooge several current scenes of Christmas joy and charity, then shows him the Cratchit household. The ghost informs Scrooge that unless the future is changed, Cratchit's crippled and good-hearted young son, Tiny Tim, will die. He also shows Scrooge the party at Fred's house. And if we remember this one, they were kind of making fun of Scrooge. And finally, he shows Scrooge a ragged boy and girl crawl out of his robes. The ghost calls them ignorance and want, and warns Scrooge to beware of ignorance. Ignorance of his shrewd character and what people think of him. This spirit guide, the ghost of the Christmas present, teaches Scrooge the law of association. We all make mental associations. We make comparisons and contrasts for ourselves. We can do this on all four levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Sometimes we associate with stereotypes. This can be a negative habit, and we have to reverse it. Like keeping up with the Joneses, as Scrooge sought in his prophets. When we associate with stereotypes, especially during the Christmas season, we liken ourselves to be like Santa Claus, old Saint Nick, and Kris Kringle. We want to be the good guy, spreading happiness and cheer everywhere, especially to children. Everybody likes to see joy in their eyes when they open presents. But this can bring on all negativity as well. False hopes and disappointment that Santa Claus failed to deliver. And the impact it has on our checkbooks, and our bills to pay. As Dickens would say, we don't want to end up in the poorhouse. Money can't buy you love, so give what's in your heart at this time of the season. It is the same with associations with people. There are people who we need and those who need us. We must live in a way that calls for intelligence, memory, and action. And we are all responsible for our community. To ignore that fact and live as if the poverty and pain of others is not our business risks our own literal and spiritual death. Again, we are responsible for the welfare of our community. We must live by principle number 6, which is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The fourth spirit, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, shows Scrooge's belongings being ransacked and the monetary value put on his belongings. Scrooge doesn't think he's dead, and the spirit takes Scrooge to the grave. His gravestone is symbolic of his heartless and miserly ways. The grave is neglected because Scrooge didn't foster good relationships in his life. Scrooge desperately implores the spirit to alter his fate, promising to renounce his insensitive, greedy ways and to honor Christmas with all his heart. Whoosh. Now the next scene, Scrooge finds himself in bed on Christmas Day, and Scrooge is overwhelmed with joy to have the chance to redeem himself, and grateful he returned to Christmas Day. He rushes out to the street to share his newfound Christmas spirit. He sends a giant turkey to the Cratchits and attends Fred's party, to the stifled surprise of all the other guests. As the years go by, he holds true to his promise and honors Christmas with all his heart. He treats Tiny Tim as if he was his own son, provides lavish gifts for the poor, and treats fellow human beings with kindness, generosity, and warmth. This spirit guide, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, teaches Scrooge and us the law of compensation and retribution hereafter for all the good and evil deeds done on earth. This law operates on earth as well as the spirit realm. Remember principle number 8. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed to any soul, here or hereafter. And in Scrooge's case, it's here. As we make life choices, the outcome of those choices affects our soul growth. When we leave this earthly life, there will be no divine judgment. We will have the opportunity to reassess, take stock, and decide what we should have done differently. Sometimes the compensation leaves you astounded. Every effect has a cause. Then, when a gift is given, we are to make use of it. We cannot place a value on a spiritual gift. Deeds and actions provide fulfillment, which is compensation earned in the silent realms of the soul and paid back with karma. In Dickens' story, Scrooge is given the opportunity to reassess his life before passing to the spirit realm. He sees how self-serving and insensitive he was. He is transformed into charitable, caring, and socially conscious member of society through the intercession of Christmas spirits. Warmth and generosity and overall goodwill overcome his bitter apathy. Empathy enables him to sympathize with and understand the less fortunate like himself, or than himself, like Tiny Tim and Bob Cratchit. So during this Christmas season, we have to reassess our own lives. That could be helping the poor, or just by helping a neighbor, giving them a ride. Maybe a loved one who is isolated and alone for the holidays. You might want to visit them. Maybe you have a special gift that you can share to others, or just offer somebody company. This is a season not to wait for the Christmas spirits, but to become one yourself. And as Tiny Tim would say, God bless us, everyone. Thank you for listening.